well to begin the day. So the first rates are coming up with the Nifty and the Sensex absolutely flat, nothing. And the Nifty's got about 15, I think we saw some red as well, but 10 points higher on the Nifty. The Sensex is up about 20, is down about 20 points. So it's kind of like a traffic light, blinking red and green, nothing at all. And you've got the mid-cap index, which is up about 0.5%, 230 points higher, 52,383. The small-cap index will also come up. So I think the broader market, at least to begin the day, has got it much better. And I think we'll have to pick up from there. So, yeah, I mean, the broader market doing much better. The Nifty Bank is up 1/3%. Financials, banks, because of the big drop in yields. Sonal Verma of Nomura was saying that she's seeing the 10-year here dropping to about 6.75. So maybe further downside there. So banks are the other thing to watch. But on the Nifty, there's nothing. 10-point change. But it's all about stocks. Sonia's got those. Sonia.
Thanks a lot for that. So since the market is very quiet, right, I thought let's focus on individual stocks and the big moves that we're seeing. Nykaa is the one that, I want to kick off with. Almost a 3% rally on Nykaa now. Very good performance. Is revenue growth of 30%, EBITDA growth of 32%. So the street definitely likes that. Jubilant Foodworks, we were talking about how Domino's has picked up pace. Its growth has turned positive for the first time in 4 quarters. Jubilant Foodworks is now up almost 4.5%, has hit that 500 rupee mark. Metro Brands is the other one. Good set of earnings. The EBITDA is up almost about 10.5%. Margins have picked up substantially on Metro Brands, and the stock is factoring that in, 4.5% higher now on Metro Brands. Now, Sun Pharma is the other one from the frontliners that I'm looking at. Let's just get Sun Pharma on board. The reason the stock is under pressure is because the company has said that FY25, they expect high single-digit consolidated top-line growth. So there's only a single-digit growth that they're looking at on the top line in FY25, and hence the stock is coming in for some profit-taking. Gland Pharma is the other one. The Q4 results were below what the street was estimating. The India business, in fact, was revenues were down almost 19%, but the stock is tearing away right now, 7.5% higher on Gland Pharma. So there's definitely something that the street likes. Now, very interesting, a stock that has been a huge underperformer is HDFC Life. But this morning, Motilal Oswal has upgraded the stock to a buy. They have raised their target price to 700 rupees a share, which is a big upside to the current market price. Let's see how this one does, because it's been an underperformer for years now. So does it, it start to pick up? Time will tell. Zomato is the other one. Axis Capital has initiated a buy on the stock. They have a target price of 254, so I'm watching out for Zomato very closely. Gujarat Pipavav is the other one. Good operational performance this time. In fact, there's a big margin pickup for Gujarat Pipavav. EBITDA is up about 21% as well. Let's head to PG Electroplast. The revenues have gone up almost 27%. Margins have picked up year on year, so the street definitely likes what they're seeing on PG Electroplast. And Ramco Cements, Nigel was telling us about how the net debt has gone down by 100 crores for Ramco Cement. The Q4 numbers are largely, above street estimates, so the street likes that, 2% higher there. So that's the exhaustive list of stocks in focus. But let's get our focus back on the Nifty. Not too much happening, which is a good thing, actually. The market has had a fair amount of rally, 650 points since the lows in May. So the Nifty is hanging tight above that 22,600 mark. Back to you.
Thanks a lot for that, Sonia. Garden Reach Shipbuilders, that's the stock of the morning, up closer around 13% as we speak. Massive uptick is what we're seeing on that name. So big move on Garden Reach. Another one that's moving well is Macrotech Developers, up closer around 5% as we speak. Solid up move is what we're seeing out there. I'm not sure what's the news flow, but that one as well, one of the top volume movers in today's trading session. Besides that, a few more stocks. HEG, their numbers were weak, multi-quarter low in terms of their margins. They've announced a demerger, though we'll have to understand in greater detail what's the reason for that. So that stock, in fact, is down close on 5.5%. In the next 20 minutes or so, we'll have the management on the channel as well. A few more losers. We have Azad Engineering. Well, that one was down close around 4%. You have Esther Industries that's down close around 5%. Kandar Oil, I think that's a new listing. That one as well down close to around 5%. So a few of these names should come up for you on the screen. And, overnight, you had some kind of nervousness whether or not the Fed will be able to go ahead and, cut rates in the coming year. And because of that, you have metals that are under pressure. Vedanta, Hindustan Copper, both of them are pulling back. Remember, they've seen a big up move, but both of them have pulled back considerably. And gold was under pressure overnight. So you have Manappuram as well. That's down close to around 1.5%. Remember, the metal stocks, not a pocket for the faint-hearted. You've seen on Hindustan Copper itself an 8% move from yesterday's high itself. So just keep that in mind. Structurally, things could look good. You could have a bit of a tailwind that's playing out. But, you want to trail, if you're trading them with some stop losses, is very important. Prashant.
All right. Well, you know, this is the definition of a flat start, right? 1 point, less than 1 point change, 22,600 or so is where you have the Nifty now opening at. Just a couple of more names. Look at Max Estates. It's starting 10% higher. I think there were numbers which came. Volumes are very low, so keep that in mind. What else? I mean, the shipbuilders are all, I think we mentioned a few, Cochin, Garden Reach, Mazgaon. It's never one. It always usually moves as a pack, and I think that is true today as well. Loda, which is Macrotech, is up 3. Jubilant Food, we mentioned 4. PG Electroplast, 5% that is. Tata Elxsi is up 4% this morning, so 74.99, 7,500. Star Health is up about 3%, 554. You got a couple of these banks. Hitachi, which sold off, that's Power India, is up about 2.5%. And I think you've got Ashoka Buildcon, which is starting with some gains as well. I'm spotting one or two of these PSU banks as well, Indian Overseas Bank, UCO Bank, which are also coming up with decent-sized volumes for this point in the day right now. So, I mean, that's it. A lot of metals stocks, as Nigel mentioned, which are taking a bit of a knock. So underlying prices have been a little soft after the big run-up that we've seen fairly quickly. Let's get in Hiren Ved, who's joining us now. Hiren, of course, is Director and CIO at Alchemy Capital Management. Hiren, good morning. Great to have you with us here, and good to see you here in our studios.
Good morning, Prashant.
What's top of mind, Hiren? Is it elections? Is it waiting for the verdict, looking past it?
Yeah, just let's get done with it, right?
How does one position for it, Hiren, if one can?
One doesn't position for, I mean, like, I know it's cheesy to say that, but I mean, if you're a long-term investor, you don't change
anything
positioning, based on events like that, because, I mean, frankly, while the overwhelming consensus is that there will be, stability and the same dispensation will come back, it's so usually long-term trends don't change so quickly based on an event, right? So we've seen that in so many elections in the past. People have kind of thought about, okay, will the leadership in the market change if there is a change in the political dispensation? Very difficult to say that. It didn't change in 2000, for example, in the bull market of 2003 to 2007. There was a abrupt change in 2004.
But the
leadership did not, the leadership amongst the sectors didn't really change. So I guess just stay with what you have.
Let me ask you this then. If you get, it's a big event in any case. I mean, you get what the market consensus is expecting. And we're pretty much at near record highs, 200 points away on the Nifty.
Yeah.
You get that big number and all is well on the 4th. You think the market does, it kind of keeps going like it has, at the pace it has over the last 6-8 months? Or you think a lot is in the price? So you think it starts something new?
Well, I think, I mean, obviously, if the results are what the market likes, then yes, you could have a big relief rally, so to speak. I think after a few days it will be back to kind of normal, right? And then there will be the anticipation for the budget. In terms of what happens. Well, there will be anticipation because they've talked about bold reforms. So people are, everybody is going to think. From my perspective, we will think about capital markets, what can come. Somebody else will think, what can come as a bold reform in the budget. But it'll be interesting to see. I think on the whole, in the run-up, if the results are as per the market's liking, then I think in the run-up to the budget, we should have a pretty decent market, I would say.
In so many years of tracking the markets and elections, I haven't seen a government who's so confident of coming back into power that, Prime Minister Modi did mention that post 4th of June, you're going to see the markets rally, right? So, of course, there is this level of confidence that's there for sure.
Yeah.
But if there is policy continuity, which I think the market wants and is focusing on, then what are the themes that you see over the next 1 year that people should bet on now?
So, Sonia, it's not 1 year as in fact, I did write and author an article on money control where I showed that how leadership is looking very similar to the 2003 to 2008 bull market, right?
Wow.
Where all your cyclical sectors, autos, auto components, hotels, real estate, capital goods, power, telecommunication, these were all sectors which were the lagging sectors of the previous bull market. And they are now all the leading sectors, right? So it's quite instructive if you look at financial year 23-24, or even if you take the last 24 months, and if you do a sector leadership, right? There are several NSE sector indices. The top performing sector is real estate. Then it is, I think, Nifty Defense. Then it is the PSU banks. Then it is Nifty Infrastructure. You know, none of these, the top 5 or 6 best performing sectors, were the leaders of the pre-COVID bull market cycle. And then if you look at the bottom of the pyramid, it's Nifty FMCG, Nifty private banks, Nifty financial services, and they were all the leaders of the previous cycle. They are all the laggards of this cycle, right?
So is it fair
I
to
think that
assume
leadership has changed.
No, is it fair to assume that the laggards who have now become the leaders, as you said, right?
Yeah.
That is a space that will continue to grow?
I would think so. I would think so. See, even within that, there are always ebbs and flows, right? It's like in a boxing match, you know, even an opponent can sometimes win a round. That doesn't mean, right? So you may have a quarter or two where the FMCG guys, you know, will come back and stuff like that happens. But when you take a slightly longer term view, I think the leadership clearly is with the more infrastructure, capex, power, capital goods. I mean, that entire cohort of sectors, I think the leadership continues to be there.
All right. Hi, Ren. Good to see you in the studio. You know, as they have been saying, Hrithik hasn't danced as yet, you know, because all those Hrithik, you know, HDFC Bank and the likes, they haven't moved that much in comparison to what the gains that we've seen, say, in the real estate space. And as you were coming in, you know, we had a flash that was up for our viewers on the screen, where Godrej Properties have sold 600 flats in Noida for 2,000 crores. Hotcakes, you know, that sort of demand is what we're seeing. But Hiren, I want to talk about Nvidia. You know, overnight, you've seen this big rally out there. And you woke up this morning to those brilliant results.
Yeah, I just saw the numbers while I was walking in.
Yeah, I mean, we wake up a little earlier. You know,
so what, is the stock up? Is the stock up?
2.5 trillion in terms of market capitalization.
By the way, you know, Nigel, I have to tell you this, that Hiren and me are neighbors. So he wakes up at the same time as us. It's just that he works out while we are walking our way to the studio. So he's, you know, running or jogging on the road.
So what's the play here in the Indian markets? I'm looking at some of these mid-cap IT names. Tata Elxsi, case in point, is up 4.5% as we speak. You know, the AI focus is definitely picking up steam. How would you play this theme?
So, Nigel, very difficult to, unlike in the US where there are direct AI plays, right? So I think if you really look at what's happening is that right now it's the companies which are building the GPUs and the servers, or what we call as the AI infrastructure layer is doing well, right? Okay. I think once that build out happens with a lag, you will find the AI applications starting to do well. I mean, every Indian software company is saying that I am AI ready with my workforce, right? TCS being right at the top, Persistent has been talking about it, a lot of them. But I think for that to be seen in the numbers and to move the needle, it's going to take a little bit of while, right? So I think at this point in time, it's all AI infrastructure. So the data centers, I mean, one way to play that in India would be to play the beneficiaries of the data center build out, right? Because that's the critical infrastructure that you require. And then the application software layer will come in.
Indeed.
And then, you know, how much is, it's like if you remember, when digital was a big thing, everybody used to say, okay, my digital is 14% of revenue. Then it went to 20% of revenue. Then it went to 30%. Now you don't know what is digital and what is not, right? So I guess AI will still, right now, very small percentage. Whether it moves the needle, very difficult to say.
You know, we had somebody saying something like a NetWeb. They make servers and that kind of stuff. So you got to look at very disaggregated kind of play.
Yeah, we own that with full disclaimer. But yeah, something like that, you know, there are always a few things here and there.
Yeah.
There is another very interesting company, but again, with full disclosure that we and our clients own. It is a company called Latent View.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, they do a lot of data analytics, AI work. So there are a few disparate players here, you know, smaller plays, but there's no direct AI
play.
play like you have in the US market.
Yeah. Another way perhaps is looking at it's maybe second level, third level, but power, because power
Yes.
consumption required is in the order of magnitudes for AI. I mean, and everything is, if most things are going to go that way, power consumption it goes through the roof, which means, I mean, this entire T&D kind of space.
Yeah, that's already happening, right? I mean,
that also ties in with what you said, industrials and
exactly, because I think power was a utility sector. Now it's a growth sector, right? People used to buy power stocks for dividend yield.
Absolutely. The other space, one name that I remember you liked is Jubilant Foodworks.
Yes.
This is a few months ago, maybe, when we had spoken. Results came, I saw an upgrade as well, I was mentioning earlier, from one of the brokers. You still like it? You still own it, Erin?
We don't own it, Prashant. Our thinking was that, they had a tough period during COVID, right? And then we thought that there will be a pickup in consumption. But we haven't seen anything great happen for the last couple of years. Consumers have been downtrading. They haven't been going that often. And today, with platforms like Swiggy and Zomato, you have access to a far larger variety of, options that a customer has.
Yeah.
Earlier it was only Jubilant, and so on and so forth. And then inflation also took away, some of the pricing power from these guys. So maybe things are bottoming out there, right? And, things could incrementally